And I congratulate and really thank you to Dr. Bhavna and team all of arranging this webinar for the betterment of and the holistic approach to the K-West ward citizens as well who are the participants in the webinar. So please continue. That's all. Okay. We should take challenge of this all holistically, and this is one of the way to look into the COVID approach for the rehabilitation of ourselves and maintain our peace, maintain our confidence to sustain in this pandemic scenario.
Thank you so much, sir. It is an honor to have you here with us. And now, without any further ado, I'd like to invite our first speaker for the day, Dr. Bhavna. So, Dr. Bhavna is an Ayurveda doctor, preventive health and nutrition expert as well. She has her own Ayurveda wellness platform and she is a wellness coach. So, during her medical practice, she noticed many medical doctors just prescribing only medicines to the patients, which encouraged her to carve out a holistic way to achieve optimum health and overall transformation, not just solely relying on the medicine. And she is she's specialized in digestive health, chronic disorder management, and holistic nutrition as well. So having a dynamic profile of medical education, nutrition knowledge, health management, and fitness background, she has a unique way of treating the individuals with personalized cure and care. And currently, she is also treating many COVID-19 patients and helping them to recover faster with natural herbs and foods. We welcome you, Dr. Bhavna.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Bhavna Diora. Thank you, Mahek, for a kind introduction. I wish to thank Moti sir also for giving us so much encouragement and motivation for conducting this webinar. And I wish to welcome and appreciate the enthusiasm which are participants of the webinar today. Since you all are COVID warriors, you must have undergone the treatment of COVID, or some of your relatives are undergoing the treatment of COVID. They are COVID warriors. So it's good to take more interest and be active about the recovery, and that is what we are aiming for with this webinar today. So when we talk about COVID recovery, what is it? When we talk about COVID rehabilitation, what is it? So we are going to talk in detail about it. Please allow me to share my screen and I should start my topic. I should be able to start now. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Dr. Bhavna.
Awesome. Okay. I think I need to start the presentation only. Let us start here. I think I have gone into the wrong file. I will just open it again. Yes. Share screen, and I have to go to the software. Sometimes we are experts in maybe body and mind, but technology is something which is more challenging for us as a doctor. Okay, yes, I can see my presentation somewhere here. It has to be somewhere here. Yes. Okay, I'm here. So can you see my screen?
ये चार्जर का जो ऊपर लोगो है, आप ये लो और इन बटन
Present. Okay,
white
awesome. I think I'm sorted with the presentation now. I'll be able to do it. Okay. Okay, so now I'm on with my presentation. Thank you for your patience, dear participants. My topic is COVID-19 recovery, integrated approach with nutrition and as well as Ayurveda. Now, why we are taking a different path? Okay, we would think as a COVID warrior, you all have encountered COVID. So heads off to you all. Already we have taken a lot of medications, right? And we are somewhere in under fear also that I need to take certain medications, otherwise I will not get better, or I might land up into some kind of emergency. And that is correct. Once you are out of the critical situation, once you are out of the emergency situation, somewhere we need to again come back, try to heal our body with more of a nutrition and natural herbs or spices at home. That's what I'm going to talk about today. So let us have the next slide. So when we talk about COVID-19 symptoms, what are they? We get a lot of symptoms like rise in the temperature, breathlessness, or there would be some kind of urinary tract infection, or there would be nausea or mucus formation and coughing, constant coughing, or there is a dry cough kind of symptoms, loss of smell and taste. All these things happens, right? And there would be a weight loss also in a lot of hospitalized patients. Post ICU syndrome is also being seen very commonly in a lot of severe infection patients. There are certain cognitive symptoms or kind of a stress or mental disorders also involved during the COVID or post COVID. So we need to address this symptoms. As I explained to you all, that there are multiple systems in the body which gets involved. Now, when these multiple systems are involved, we need to identify. Let me give you very practical suggestion here. You make sure that you are going to identify that what are the issues. Okay, if you are currently passing through the COVID infection, or you're getting treatment, getting treated for the COVID symptoms, note it down. Note down each and every symptom. Your doctor definitely tells you to keep a record of your saturation level, record of the pulse, record of the BP, and then medication, right? Apart from that, just identify other symptoms. As I told you all, write it down. What are the symptoms, how you will be able to, how you're progressing, or how you're able to treat those symptoms. So that is very important, to keep a track, keep a record, that what symptoms are involved, what systems are involved. Yeah. Okay, now once you have identified the symptoms, what we are going to do is that we are going to identify the requirement. Let me give you a very simple example. For an example, post COVID, somebody has lost weight of say 4 to 5 kgs. That means recovery is very important. Now, recovery is very important. That means what you are going to do is that you are going to get the recovery, get the weight back with the help of the weight. That is very important. So another example would be chronic cough, or there is a lung fibrosis. There was a involvement of lung of 40 to 50 or 60% of it. In that case, what you are going to do is that you are going to make sure that you are strengthening your lungs back, and that would happen with the help of physiotherapy, some deep breathing exercise. So identify the requirement. So what I've written here is that you would take the support from the doctors and experts for post COVID recovery also. Nutritional requirement has to be identified, and again you can take the support there also. Sit down, identify what is required for you. As I told you all, chest physiotherapy is important. Medication regarding the symptoms and comorbid. Somebody is calling me, just a minute. I think they want to enter in the webinar. सर आप एंटर कर सकते हैं, मैं आपको, आप मुझे व्हाट्सएप कीजिए, हम आपको लिंक भेज देंगे. प्लीज डोंट कॉल, वेबिनार इज ऑन. Just WhatsApp me, hello, I will send you the webinar link. Thank you. I'm sorry. So what you're going to do is that you will somewhere tackle the symptoms. If there is kind of a mental stress or there is some kind of anxiety or depression which is setting in, take the support of stress management expert, take the support of yoga, deep breathing techniques, or there can be some stretching exercise, there would be lung strengthening exercise. So you would identify the symptoms, you would identify the requirement, and you're going to note down that, okay, now for my post recovery, these things are important, and you are going to take the further interventions for the same. So as per my topic, I'm going to help you with some nutritional intervention. Okay, so the first point is about energy intake and expenditure. So people who have lost weight, it is very important to gain that much weight back. Somebody who's obese would be very happy, oh, I lost weight, that is good, covid ke karan mera weight loss ho gaya, acha hai. But do not ignore this, because this weight sometime would be your muscle mass, not your fat percentage or fat loss which has happened. Okay, so you have to identify, and again, take the right nutrition. Do not starve at this point of time, because your body needs recovery, your cells need good rejuvenation, and that's the reason you must identify your intake, energy intake, how much should be taken, and take the balanced food. When we talk about balanced food, what are the balanced food? So typically carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are the macronutrients. Multivitamins, minerals, hydration, these are the other factors which are called micronutrients. So these things have to be included. Now you can uh, sit down, think about it, that what I'm eating for my breakfast, what I'm eating for my lunch, or what I'm giving to my patient. If you are not a patient, if your family members or friends are recovering from COVID, then you can make some kind of a chart for them. Write down, make sure that each and every meal is balanced with proteins, carbohydrates, and good fats. Oral nutritional supplements are also important. Now, what are these supplements? There can be some kind of protein powders, or some amino acids, there can be colostrum, or there can be some micronutrients, vitamin D, zinc. But this has to be taken under someone's guidance, because you might not know what are the deficiency, or what exactly you require as per your symptom. So accordingly, you're going to take the support and identify the supplements also. Next is hydration. Now, typically, what happens during the fever condition, sometimes we don't feel like eating, or your appetite is gone down. That means digestion is not, at optimum level. In this case, what you must do is that you may want to eat less. That is fine. But hydration should not go down. Hydration is very important, and you make sure that your hydration happens with various types of fluids. It can be juices, it can be some kind of spices, drinks, or infused water, or it can be even simple warm water. So mix of all different types of food, fluids. Can be some soups also, and that is how you are going to make yourself hydrated, which is very important post COVID also. As I told you all, that continuous monitoring is important. Yes. So if you have not made the notes of it, or made a diary or something, make sure now you're making it. So how you're going to do it is that you are going to record everything, day to day records. Okay, you are going to make sure that you are having the records of all the symptoms, and whatever you are eating, having the liquids, you would know how much grams of food you are eating, how much quantity of liquids you are having, and accordingly you are going to get better recovery. So monitoring is equally important. Coming to the next slide now is about practical tips. Now I'm going to give you some practical tips, which you can all follow. So let me make one thing very clear, that what we are going to discuss today, maybe by me or Dr. Monal or Mrs. Leena would talk, it's a very generalized, statements or generalized instructions. Okay, it does not mean that that is you just have to follow that. You might require more than that. If you need more intervention, make sure you're taking someone's help. So practical tips, when we talk about certain practical tips, it can be fortifying your food with more nutrients. Now, as I told you, you are into recovery. So you are not going to put your body into distress. So how does that happen? If you are going to have low calorie food or not having a balanced food, your body would be in some distress. Okay, that would be a calorie deficit, or it can be some kind of a distress where recovery will not happen. Muscle wear and tear, which has already happened during the disease, will not come back. So how would you do that? You're For an example, you're having, say, roti sabzi dal chawal in the afternoon, or you're having only roti or sabzi. So what you would do is that you are going to add some grated coconut in your sabzi. You're going to add some paneer in your sabzi, or you might want to, add some jaggery in your infused drinks, or you can even have some kind of soya chunks in your sabzi. So these are the nutrients which are energy dense, and at the same time they are important for the recovery, would be added in your food automatically, and that will not burden you with an extra dish making, and your day-to-day food can be fortified. This fortification, what I'm suggesting today, is the natural, which can be done at home. Another fortification can be, adding some protein powders, amino acids, or some kind of nutritional supplements. That also can be done, and that would be under someone's guidance. You can also prepare thick milk and rice kheer. Now, milk is called whole food. Okay, when you add some rice into it, it becomes a complete meal. Now, if someone has lost the appetite, when you just give the 100 or 150 grams of rice kheer, he or she would get lot of nutrients, right? It is a very dense, thick, nutrient based food item which can be added. So these are certain examples. Energy balls can be made with nuts and dry fruits. So what happens when you make when you are not able to chew nuts, or you don't feel like eating it just like that, you can always convert them into energy balls, and you can have one energy ball every day, and that will be definitely going to give you good fats, at the same time some good energy also. The next one is khichdi and curd. Now, why I have written khichdi and curd? So as I told you all, it might happen that you don't feel like eating, or you get burps, or not getting, the food is not getting digested. In that case, this food items should be added slowly, gradually. You cannot have all the things together. Look at your digestion power. How is your digestion? If you are able to digest it well, definitely you would introduce one by one each day, or two items a day. If your digestion is not good, you can start with only khichdi and curd, kind of a easily digestible food item, whereas you get all the amino acids, the whole balanced meal. At the same time, it would be easily digestible. Variety of soups. Okay, now this I have specifically written here because soups can, when you include soups, don't do simple vegetable soup. What will happen, you might fill up your stomach with vegetable soup which has more liquids, but low calories. Now when you're not able to eat a lot, maybe your soups can be fortified, can become more nutritious by adding some, paneer chunks into it. You can add some mung dal into it. You can add some kind of a glutamine powder into it, which is a amino acid. Or you can even have one of the soups with some probiotics if you have taken a lot of antibiotics. So that also can be added. Let me talk about some more practical tips. Chico milkshake is definitely very good. Mango milkshake, because of the season, ripened mango can be taken. It is good in terms of giving you the energy. At the same time, it is a nutritious shake. So you just have a small quantity, and you're going to get maximum nutrition. I have even written skimmed milk powder. Now, I would like to tell you all that when we talk about skimmed milk powder, you have to understand your digestibility. If you're able to digest, what you can do is you can take a milk, put, put skim milk powder. What's going to happen? It is going to be a thicker, right? So you are going to get more energy with the small quantity of the food item. If you do not have any weight loss, if you do not have any kind of weakness, and you are feeling better, then do not overdo with this kind of energy drinks and powders, because that might increase your weight also, or might increase the fat. So you should not be don't overdo with anything. Coconut oils and ghees are definitely good, that can be introduced as a good fat. Beetroot juice, this is something which I want to specify for everyone, that this is very good. Let me give you the reason behind specific beetroot juice. Beetroot has nitric oxides into it. So when it gets into the body, it gets converted into nitrous oxides, and it would give the dilatation of the arteries. And that is how your lung will be able to get more oxygen. Okay. So whenever lungs are involved, or whenever you feel that there is a breathlessness in your day-to-day activities, or after doing some physical exercise, introduce beetroot juice. Now, why I have written beetroot juice? Because if you're going to have kacha beetroot, you might get, your stomach gets disturbed sometime, you would not like would drink eat more, so you might have would take 2 or 3 slices, but that will not be sufficient. So maybe you can take out the juice of 2 to 3 beets, and then make a 100-150 ml of beetroot juice, and then have that will have a better impact. Curd and buttermilk also would increase your digestibility, and that can be added. Going further from here is, you all can take a screenshot of this protein rich dates energy balls also, so you get the uh, ready-made recipe here. So what I have done is that we have taken grated coconuts, almonds, or we can add some almond oil or coconut oil also into it, and dates. So it is a very tasty energetic balls, which can be made with some kind of a chocolate flavor. If you want to do that, you can add cacao powder into it, or you can add some cinnamon, some spices, flaxseed powder, and some dry ginger powder for your lung health, and cardamom powder. And the recipe is given here, so you can make these balls at home, and that's definitely going to help you. Next point is about another a very interesting topic. When we talk about Ayurveda. Okay, now why I am talking about Ayurveda here? So we all are Indians. We know that we have seen the results of Ayurveda in terms of preventing the COVID disease. But the what we've been doing is very generalized or very specific, or Giloy de diya, Ashwagandha diya, all those kind of very generalized things, what you have been doing, or we all have been doing. But don't overdo. What I'm going to do today is, I'm going to give you some specific drink which can be done with the help of Ayurveda herbs. So next slide, please. Yes. So why Ayurveda? As I told you all, that I have already spoken about the benefits of the Ayurveda. That Ayurveda has, worked on natural immunity. It has immunomodulator effects. Also, a lot of herbs are called rasayana, where it actually helps in rejuvenation. So whenever there is a weight loss, or there would be any kind of lung involvement, lot of combinations have shown promising results. Okay, so that can be explored and uh, practiced also. So this is the specific drink which I'm suggesting you all today. It's a very simple one. And it is very easily available spices which you can make up with. So cinnamon, pepper, and turmeric. Right now we all have it. We all will think, okay, ये तो हमें पता है, हम तो ये हमने सुना हुआ है, इसमें कुछ नया नहीं है. But ask yourself, how many of you are doing it? That is one thing. We sometimes know everything, but we do not implement it. So make sure that you're doing this every day. Now, when I say every day, look at the quantity what I have suggested. It's just a pinch of cinnamon or pinch of pepper powder, and 2 pinches of turmeric powder, just that much. Okay, you are not going to do more than that, because it is a hot season. You should be restricting the quantity also. Don't overdo with the spices also. If they have effects, they do have ill effects if not practiced properly. Okay, so you can take a screenshot, and I'm going to the next one now, which is about some Ayurveda herbal combinations which I will suggest during this post-COVID recovery. It can be Sanquat, Asava, Arishta, herbo-mineral formulas are available, Leha Rasayanas, oils and ghees for Nasya, people who have lost, smell and taste. Some of the Ayurveda herbs have shown tremendous results where you put the oils into the nostrils every day and that has shown the results. So you can definitely explore more on this. So coming to the another combination of concoction, I want to talk about one concoction which is specific for bronchodilation. So again, look at the quantity what I'm suggesting here and make sure that you're just having that much quantity. You can take ajwain, 1 teaspoon of powder, 1 teaspoon of yashti madhu powder. These are very good specifically for the lungs. That's the reason these specific things have been suggested. Mint leaves 5 to 6 and 1 teaspoon of lemon and honey juice. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to take 500 ml of water. You are going to put ajwain powder. You are going to put yashtimatu powder into it. You are going to keep it just like that for some time. Maybe that is called infusion, right? Infused. So you infuse it for an hour or two. You can strain it and then the water can be taken with lemon and honey juice. Okay, that is how you're going to. So lemon and honey juice can be added freshly, whereas this powders infused water can be stored for a day. So you prepare it in the morning, throughout the day, keep on taking 50 ml, 70 ml, 100 ml of it each time. So it's just the half glass, right? Not more than that. And that is called concoction. So just that much. Going further from here is about one message which I want to give all of you here, to all my participants, that do not take your recovery for granted. You have to make sure that you are recovering well. As I suggested you all, that you need to note down. Okay, note down your symptoms. Make sure which you are identifying which systems are involved, and accordingly you are going to, recover and rebound. Seek the support and help, as I've been telling you again and again. And at the same time, you're going to keep balancing your mind and body for the optimum health. Your mental health is equally important as your physical health. So that is it from my side today. I thank everyone for listening to me. Thank you, Mahek. Thank you so much. Over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhavna. And this was really insightful, to be honest, and so many practical things to take note of. And I'm sure the audience found it very informative too. And so I just want everyone to know that we will be having a Q&A session at the end. So please type in any queries or comments you have in the chat box. We will take it at the end. Thank you. And so now I'd like to welcome our second speaker for the day, Dr. Monal Panani. So Dr. Monal has done her master's in cardiovascular and respiratory physiotherapy. She has an experience of 11 years. And presently she is working as the chief physiotherapist of Arihant Physiotherapy Clinic. In past, she has worked with many hospitals as well, like Nanavati Hospital, which is in Veleparle, Leeravati Hospital, which is in Bandra. She was an assistant professor as well of MGM College of Physiotherapy, which is in Navi Mumbai. And she is specialized in cardiac rehabilitation, pulmonary rehabilitation, ICU rehabilitation, post-surgical rehabilitation, women's health, neurological condition, and orthopedic condition as well. So it's a pleasure to have you, ma'am. Over to you.
Good morning to one and all present here. Myself, Dr. Monal, and I'm going to talk to you about the importance of physiotherapy post-COVID. So, as we know, Good morning to one and all present here. Myself, Dr. Monal, and I'm going to talk to you about the importance of physiotherapy post-COVID. As we all know, COVID is a viral infection which is caused by SRS, that is systemic acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, which is transmitted from animals to humans. And from humans to humans, it is transmitted via droplets, which is spreading via coughing, sneezing, or via the touch. So that is why this is highly contagious, and that is why we are taking precautions like social distancing, wearing a mask to prevent this spread of infection. The first target of this COVID-19 virus is it attacks the pulmonary system, that is your lungs. Okay, so what we can do to prevent the spread, that we all know we are doing is social distancing. But once the infection is occurred, what can we do? That we are going to that I'm going to tell you about that. Okay. So as Dr. Bhavna has already explained what are the symptoms, I'll just go through it briefly. That is fever, continuous cough, maybe dry or productive, shortness of breath, tiredness, muscle aches, congestion, headache, sore throat, loss of taste or smell, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Diarrhea is recently, which is affecting your digestive system after the pulmonary. Okay, so how the symptoms are going to attack? Majority of the people are going to have mild to moderate symptoms, which gets recovered easily without the hospital admission. But those who are older or those who are having comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, or maybe renal failure or any other complications, they are the ones who are going to get severe infection via this COVID-19 virus. Okay, so once you get why physiotherapy? What is the role of physiotherapy, and how is this chest physiotherapy going to help you in COVID rehabilitation, this prevention of COVID infection? That I'm going to tell you. So once the main thing is here, we are going to break the cycle of breathlessness, because once this cycle starts, if we start feeling breathlessness, there will be a long chain where after breathlessness, as you see, we will get inactivity, because as we feel breathless, we will stop doing our activities. So that will lead to inactivity. If there is an inactivity, this will lead to physical deconditioning. That is, we start losing our energy, we start losing our endurance because of the loss of muscle mass. Okay, and that leads to disability, maybe temporary or permanent disability. We don't know. That depends upon the condition of the patient. Okay, so as we have seen that many newspaper cuttings and everything is showing what are the effects, after effects of coronavirus, and what are the how this can be managed. So as we know, chest physiotherapy and incentive spirometry is something which plays a vital role in curing of COVID-19 infection. Okay, after effects, as I told you, there will be malaise, which is nothing but general weakness, long standing dry cough, and this dry cough leads to loss of energy, fatigue. Also, there is oxygen dependency, which we see because of the ICU admission. Those people who are admitted in the hospital, we see that their lungs are going into fibrosis, and because of this fibrosis, the lung tissue has lost its elasticity, and that leads to dependence on oxygen. So there are many poor people are using portable oxygen at home. So how we can prevent the dependence on oxygen, I will tell you after this. Okay, so when the patient is in the ICU or admitted in the hospital, how is physiotherapy going to help? Doctors will see the saturation level. Doctor will see the by the auscultation whether the patient is having cough, they have cough, or they are not having cough. Depending upon this, patient will give the reference to the physiotherapy. And in the ICU, there will be limited thing that we can do. But once the patient is moving from the ICU going to the wards, we can start with the mobilization. And once the patient is getting discharged, there will be post-COVID rehabilitation that we will be doing for the patient. But before we treat the patient, even in the ICU, we have to see the red flags, like the saturation shouldn't be less than 90, or it shouldn't be less than if the patient is having less than 90, then we have to see whether the patient will be dependent upon the ventilator. So that time we cannot do is breathing exercises and other techniques. So in that case, we will do is airway clearance technique for the patient. Okay, so what we'll be doing when the patient, how physiotherapy can help when the patient is home quarantine or post discharge. In this game, we will be doing the symptomatic treatment that is symptomatic treatment for the cough, breathlessness, fatigue, muscle weakness. And later on, we will be doing is the improving the cardiorespiratory endurance with the help of pulmonary rehabilitation. But before we do any of this treatment, we have to keep is monitoring the patient continuously. That is with the help of saturation. This is something very important equipment during this pandemic time. I request each and everyone to have this with them, at least not with each member, but at least each family should have one equipment of SpO2 monitoring. Okay, so we keep measuring the pulse oximeter. With the help of pulse oximeter, we keep checking the patient's oxygenation level. And then if the patient is having any comorbidity, that is either diabetes, blood pressure, we have to keep monitoring that also. In case patient is having fever, we have to keep checking for the fever also. But mostly fever will not be there, as we are going to be treating post-COVID patients. So fever is something which will be taken care of already. Okay, so why is this exercise very important part? Okay, the benefits of exercise will be, it will help in reducing the it will help in improving your fitness, it will improve your muscle strength, it will help in reducing your breathlessness, improve your overall fitness, make you overall feel confident by improving your psychological well-being, improving your mental health, reducing your stress, anxiety, everything. Okay, so this is how exercise is going to help you during this pandemic time. Okay, so in this during this COVID, this is something which has come up, that is SCARP principle, which is repositioning of the patient in the prone position. This prone position is going to help you in improving your overall oxygenation of the lungs. Okay, this is very easy technique which can be done anywhere, anyhow, at your home also. Okay, so here the patient is first advised to lie in this prone position with the head turned on one side for 30 to 2 hours. Even the patient can start with 15 minutes if not comfortable for 30 minutes. Okay, just see, lie down in this position for 15 to 20 minutes, see that you are able to you are comfortable. In between this position also, every 15 minutes keep checking your saturation. Then once your saturation is fine, you are comfortable, then from prone position you can go to is right side. Lie on your right side. Your right side of the chest should be up, so your right side of the lung will get ventilated, oxygenated. Even lie down in this position for 30 minutes to maximum 2 hours, you can lie down in this position. Okay, once you are comfortable, keep, as I told you, for in the first position, keep monitoring your oxygenation every 15 minutes. Once you're comfortable in this position, then you go into sitting position, that is 45 degrees sitting. So in case you are at home, you can just place up 2-3 pillows behind you and you can just sit down in this position. If you're again comfortable, then you can go to left side of your lying down position, where your left side of the chest will be up. So if you are able to maintain this position in once, this is the one cycle. So if you're comfortable in this cycle, you can repeat this cycle again after 3-4 hours, and this way you can improve the oxygenation of your lungs. But keep in mind, when you're practicing this protocol, the important thing is you have to keep monitoring is your oxygenation level, which is very important. Without measuring, you cannot do this. And in between also, when you're practicing this cycle, if you feel any breathlessness, you feel any anxiety, you feel any palpitation, you're not comfortable, you have to stop practicing this protocol. Okay, next is, we have different techniques in chest physiotherapy. One is airway clearance technique, where we do is active cycle of breathing, or we do is postural drainage. These are two techniques which help in removal of the secretion in case there is a cough present inside your lungs. Okay, so these are the techniques which are usually practiced in the ICU during the admission of the patient, when the patient is suffering from infection. And these are the techniques which can be done even in the ICU. Okay, once the patient, where the patient is unable to do other techniques. These techniques are something where we the next one is breathlessness relieving postures. I will just demonstrate the two techniques. One is in the standing and one is in the sitting position, which will be comfortable and which can be easily done anywhere, anyhow, at any time. Okay, so just give me a second. This is something in the standing position. Once if the patient is standing, just lie down, just bend. I hope it is you can stand like this, just bend from your back little bit, and then just keep your mouth open and just blow out as much as you can. This is the standing position which will help in relieving your breathlessness. But when you are doing this position, see that your hands are very well supported from the elbows, so that this shoulder muscles can help you in breathing. Okay, this is one of the techniques. The second technique is in the sitting position. You can just sit anywhere, just keep your hands like this, lie down, be like this, turn your head on one side so that the breathing doesn't get affected, and be in this position for some time. This will also help you in relieving your breathlessness. When you're doing this techniques, just see that you are blowing out continuously. Blowing out is nothing but doing slowly and in a relaxing way. I'll show you in the next slide how to do this technique. Okay, I hope I'm clear with this two position. Any doubts, you can drop me a message on the chat box, or you can contact me for this technique. Next, what are the benefits of doing breathing techniques? There are different types of breathing techniques like diaphragmatic, pursely breathing, thoracic expansion, segmental breathing, spirometer, balloon exercise. These are few exercises, but these exercises cannot be done by anyone anyhow. Depending upon the affection, which part of your lung is getting affected, we have to accordingly select the exercise and do it. What are the benefits? Specifically on the lungs, it will help you in improving the elasticity of your lung. It will help in improving the oxygenation. Once your oxygenation is improving, your ventilation will improve, and this is how it will help the overall oxygenation and perfusion. That is nothing but oxygen and the blood circulation in your lungs. It also has effect on different or other organs of the body, like heart. It will help in lowering your cholesterol. It will help lowering your blood pressure, heart rate. It will also, since your body will get calmed down, it will also bring down, improve your psychological well-being of the individual. It will help in improving the quality of sleep. It will improve your mood, because all the good hormones will be released by doing this exercise. Okay, so the next exercise is, as I told you, segmental breathing, thoracic expansion. Now I will teach you is pursely breathing, which is very important and which can be done by anyone anyhow. When you feel breathlessness, along with this which positions I showed you for relieving the dyspnea, along with that you can do practice this also. Just sit down comfortably anywhere, or even in the standing position it can be done. Just inhale through your nose and you have to blow out through your mouth. The rule that you have to follow is, if you are inhaling for 1 to 3 counts, then you have to exhale. Remove the air is for 6 counts, like this. I'm inhaling 1, 2, 3. Blow out. This is how the exercise can be done. This is pursely breathing, which can be done by anyone. This can be practiced by each and every individual at home, because this will improve the collateral other channels of the circulation in your lungs and improve your oxygenation, and it will prevent bronchoconstriction, that is closing of your bronchial walls. Okay, the next simple exercise which can be done to strengthen your lung is balloon exercise. You can just have simple balloon and just keep blowing it as much as you can blow at a time. Then leave it. This can be practiced for 5 to 6 times at a stretch, and then again every 2 hours you can repeat this. In this way you can do 4 to 5 times in a day. This is very effective exercise, and this will improve the strength of your lungs and improve the overall capacity of your respiratory muscles. You don't need any equipment for doing this balloon exercise, just a simple balloon which will be available. Okay, after this breathing, your symptoms are getting relieved. The important part is improving your cardiorespiratory endurance and the strength. So this is again based, this program is very important because your symptoms are relieved, but your strength, as we have seen earlier, even by Dr. Bhavna, it was being told, and I also mentioned you in the earlier slide, that patient usually feel fatigue, decreased strength, their appetite is decreased, overall weakness is seen in the patient. So in this case, this pulmonary rehabilitation is very important, rehabilitating a patient. So this is dependent. So before we start with this program, we have to do is a 6-minute walk test, where we make a patient walk for 6 minutes, and during this period we keep checking their blood pressure, their respiratory rate, and their saturation level, and their BP. And according to the effects pre and post what we see, we customize a program for each patient or each individual. And this program includes flexibility, aerobic training, and strength training. Flexibility is nothing but improving the the length of your muscle. Aerobic is where you improve the heart and the lung capacity. The aerobic exercise, simple exercise which you can practice every day, is walking, which can be done by each and every individual. You can if you're not able to do brisk walking, you can just start with a simple walking for 20 to 25 minutes, and then increase the speed to 40, then increase your duration to 45 minutes. And once the time is increased, later on you can increase your speed. Okay, this is how it can be done. And the strength training is where you improve the strength of your each muscle, which are the big muscles, specifically your calf muscles, your the shoulder muscles which are there. The strength of this muscle needs to be improved. Okay, so this program is again where aerobic training, where walking needs to be done for 3 to 5 days in a week, and flexibility and strength training depending upon the individual's whatever report comes. Accordingly, it can be done 2 to 3 days in a week along with this aerobic program. So this is how the this program will help you in recovering from your post-COVID situation, which the individual has gone through. So it is again a customized program for each and every individual. So in case if you need any help, you can contact me, or you can contact directly on the Sama Health website. Thank you for listening to me. And any queries, you can just drop me on the chat box and we can discuss it later on. Thank you.
Dr. Monal, I've got to say it was really informative, and I'm sure the audience agrees too. We really appreciate the demonstration you gave us, and it was really insightful as well. And seeking advice and information from a professional is always worth it. Is what I believe. So it is time to welcome our last speaker for the day, Mrs. Leena Madani. So Mrs. Leena Madani is a therapeutic yoga expert with 13 years of hands-on experience. She has got certification from Mumbai University and received her yoga teacher training from Kaivalya Dham, which is one of the oldest and most traditional schools of yoga in the world. So she has done a diploma in yoga, Ayurveda, Panchakarma, and naturopathy from Atamba Bodh. She has expertise in PCOD and hormonal imbalance as well. She's certified in pranayama, mudra, meditation, and she's trained in Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. So we rarely acknowledge the emotional impact COVID and of the COVID that COVID made on us, and how the patients who have battled COVID suffered mentally and psychologically. So Mrs. Leena will guide us on how, with the help of mudras, meditation, yoga, we can calm ourselves and improve our mental health. We welcome you, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Hari Om. Thank you, Meg, for such a warm welcome. And thank you, Dr. Bhavna, Dr. Monal, for such insightful information. Okay, so I will share my screen to make things a little clear. Because जो दिखता है वही absorb होता है. I think that's what we all believe in. Yeah. So today my topic is mental health and COVID. Okay, so see, we all know, like now we have a lot of information about COVID, how, what, why, when, and how you physically get involved, or physiologically your organs get involved. But today I'm going to take a different approach to it, like a upside down approach. So generally you get infected physically, and then it takes a toll on your mental health. But today I'm going to explain other way around, how you get mentally affected and your body gets affected later on. So my next slide will tell you what is the term psychosomatic. Okay, so I will explain my point through this term called psychosomatic. Now, what is psychosomatic? Psych means mind, soma means body. Okay, so in Ayurveda, there's a lot of importance is given on this term psychosomatic. So first, the disease is born in your mind. Okay, the disease is born in your mind and then experienced in the body. Okay, I think I'm clear. Now let's go to the next slide and understand how. Okay, so there is a thing called fight and flee mode. Okay, now what is flight and flee mode? Let me explain. So, let's go back to the history when we were hunters and gatherers. How was our life? No stress at all. We were like living the best time of our life. Nothing to worry about. जो मिला वो खाया, कहीं पे भी सो गए, कुछ भी पहन लिया. So our body has defense mechanism. Okay,
Mrs.
biology.
Cleaner, sorry to interrupt, but we can't see your slides.
You can't. One. Did you see others or just this one?
Your PPT hasn't opened yet.
Oh, sorry. I spoke a lot. 1 minute. Oh, yeah. I didn't share. Now,
Yeah, it's visible.
yeah. So yeah, there was only one slide previously. What was psychosomatic? So you've not missed out on much. Yeah. So the next is, now I'm going to explain very important. Please understand flight and flee mode. Okay, what is fight and flee mode? So as I explained, we were hunters and gatherers. There was no stress in life. The only stress and fear was a wild animal. Okay. So whenever they used to encounter a wild animal, the body used to go in an upside zone, complete upside zone. So what all used to happen, what body changes used to happen when they used to see a stress? See all these. Can you see on my screen? The eyes, the lungs, the bowels, the blood vessels, muscles, stomach, heart.
Patient has उनको emotional और psychological strength मिलती है तो patient
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So each and every body part used to get used. Okay, so we were in so much rush. So the pupils dilated, you start breathing fast and your bowel movements, the digestion used to become slow, the muscles cramped and the heart beat faster and the palpitation, saliva used to get dry. So that was the immediate response when you used to see the animal. Okay, the moment the animal used to disappear, everything used to come back to normal. Okay, so that was once in a while scenario when we were like hunters and gatherers, where never used to happen all the time. But now what has happened now? Now, that time the stress was just a wild animal, but now stressors are plenty, n number of stressors we have. But relating to COVID, there is isolation, fear of isolation. People have lost their income, uncertainty. We don't know when it's going to get over, when the things are going to be normal. No one has answer for it. Okay. So many people of us have lost our loved ones, and we have constant fear of losing our loved ones. Okay. Then there is fear of death. Then again, there's a fear of expensive medical expenditure. So you see, there are so many stressors. Okay. Due to all these stresses, what happens? You constantly, the defense mechanism, what I explained, constant let inner conflict in your mind and your body is going through. You're in constant inner conflict. So what happens? Due to that, the body is extremely exhausted. Extremely. And you know what? We are so used to living like that, at times you don't realize what is stress and what is not stress. Everything, you're just living one kind of life. Okay, there is no rejuvenation, there is no recreation. It's just all the time you're living under stress. And you see what that stress is doing to your body. See, you've seen, I've showed you in the first slide how your body is getting affected. Each and every system is getting affected. Okay, so that's how your immunity goes down. The moment your immunity goes down, what happens? You fall prey to the disease. You invite all kind of infection in your body. Okay, I hope you're clear with that. So next I will explain is this breath. Okay, very important concept. Breath is a bridge between mind and body. Okay, so here there is a mind, here there is a body, and there is a breath. Okay, so if your breath is not strong enough, you're not able to travel from mind to body or body to mind. There won't be any harmony, there won't be any balance in your body system. Okay, so what yoga teaches you, one has to be, one has to have a mind, body, breath in one line, in balance, in proportion, in order to live optimum, in order to have optimum health. See, have you ever realized that, you listen to something, some bad news, what happens to your breath? Have you ever noticed your breath in life? No. We are always so much outside. We are always so much outside, listening, talking, fine, but we have never gone inside. Okay, what is happening to our breath? Breath has make friendship with your breath. Okay, whenever you encounter any fear, have you ever noticed what happened to your breath? You start moving fast. The breath start moving so fast, so fast. So what happens when the breath is moving fast? You're using only the middle part of your lung, only the middle part. You're just breathing from your middle part. The upper part and the lower lobes are not getting used. Okay, and the fast breathing is always shallow. In fast, you can never have a deeper breathing. Okay, so that short breathing, what happens? So you are not able to, your body is you're depriving your body from the supply of oxygen. And oxygen is the first food of our body. The tiniest body part is our cell. Okay, what is the first food of our cell? Is oxygen. Okay, so if you compromise your body from the oxygen, the cell gets compromised. From cell we make tissue, tissue to organ, organ to system. So that's how slowly the whole body system gets affected, and that's how also our immunity goes down and we fall prey to the disease. So it's very, very important. How do you think, what you think, and how you keep your mental health? Now let's talk about the few solutions. Okay, I have put a few solutions. In yoga there are many solutions given. Okay, and those solutions are according to people. Okay, there are few people have very physical. Some people don't like physical activity, they want to sit down and do something. Some are very energetic, some are not. Some can devote more time, some have very less time. So according to your convenience, your personality, your mood, yoga has everything for you. Okay, one just needs to have that passion for it and just dig into it. Okay, so now see, improve your mental health. So here I have mentioned meditation with mantra chanting, mudra, pratak, yog nidra, pranayam, asana. Okay, so today I'm just going to talk about the first two things. Why? Because that can be done at home. You don't need any professional help for that. Yeah. So in my next slide, I've shown this meditation with mantra chanting. Now, what is meditation? You know what? So many people who are not like you in the yoga at all, they think that meditation is something big. You have to like really do something. It's nothing. It's so simple. Just sit with your eyes closed. Just sit with your eyes closed and bring your attention, or just concentrate on one thing. That one thing could be your god, your deity, some symbol, some light, anything at all which you are close to. Okay, forget about your partner, your neighbor, what is he doing, how is he meditating. Just forget about, no comparison in yoga. You just start with your own ability. Okay, and dhire you walk on that path. Okay, so here I've put on few meditations how one should do. See, Om recitation. Om is a universal mantra. Okay, it is so much powerful. This mantra, the resonance, it's so powerful. If you chant Om 21 times, nothing like it. Nothing like it. Okay, just sit in a room, just quietly, close your eyes, connect with your breath, just see how you're breathing, and just do Om chanting. It is beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, of course, you won't feel anything in a day or two. See, everything needs patience and practice. That's the mantra. Okay, son, there is Gayatri Mantra. That is also one very beautiful practice. Then there is Mahamrutyunjay Japa. This mantra is specially people, it's called only Mahamrutyunjay, means one who has fear of death. This is like USP for them. Keep chanting this mantra 21 times, whatever times you have, however time, how much ever, whatever time. Okay, no time is needed for that. Whenever you're free, you can do that. It's at beautiful, and there are so many YouTube videos and those audios are available. You can listen to them and you can sit quietly. Yeah, the chakra meditation, what I have mentioned, you need a guru's guidance for that. Cannot be done on your own. Yeah. So next, I'm going to explain mudra. That also you can do on your own. So what is mudra? See, these are 5. We have these 10 fingers, and each finger represent 5 elements. You all agree, or if you know, you don't know, our body is made up of 5 elements. The universe around you is made up of 5 elements. We are part of this universe. Okay, so based on that, these mudras are hand gestures. Those are like circuits. Okay, these are like combination of subtle physical movements which alter your mood, attitude, perceptions, which deepens your awareness and concentration. Okay, you can practice this for 15 minutes twice in a day, thrice in a day. So today, one very powerful mudra I'm going to talk about and I'm going to demonstrate for you. It's called Prana Mudra. So you have to take your little finger and your ring finger and with your thumb. Okay, slight touch. This anybody can do anytime, mild, moderate, severe COVID, anybody can do. Even if you're bedridden, you can do it. If you are not able to keep it, like suppose somebody is bedridden and not able to do it, you can even tape. You can tape it and keep it for 15 minutes. Okay, just close your eyes, become aware about your breath, and it has beautiful, beautiful advantages. I have mentioned few. It increase your vitality is your prana flow, means your breathing, your O2 level for a very layman. Elevate depression, it reduces fatigue, nervousness, sleeplessness, it increases assertiveness. Basically, you become confident, positive, mental outlook, and 3 times a day for 15 minutes. That also there are added advantage which we are not looking for as of now. So my mantra after this session with you all is just yoga se hi yoga, and one must start from today the regular practice, and the key is patience. Okay, thank you. I'm done with my presentation. Over to you, Mehak. It was lovely having you all.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Leena. The information you provided was really insightful, and we can definitely use this information in our practical lives as well. And yeah, so ma'am, everything we've discussed so far, all the 3 speakers and all the information we got so far was very universal and applicable to all. But what if someone has some specific problem or specific symptom? What would you suggest for them?
Okay. Yeah. So maybe let me answer this question, Mehak.
Yeah,
So
sure.
as I was talking to all my participants here, that see, generalized things can be practiced or should be practiced as a routine for everyone, be it a nutrition, be it a breathing exercise, or doing some kind of stress management. But if you have undergone uh, with a severe infection, or there is some kind of a typical symptoms where your day-to-day life is getting bothered, your health is getting deteriorated, or there would be a kind of involvement of steroids or certain other antibiotics, or there was a prolonged stay at a hospital. So these are the things which are very important to look into or considered, and look at your diary. What are the symptoms which are still persisting, and accordingly you should go and seek the help from the expert. You need to go to the doctor and discuss with them. If you need to somewhere look into the nutrition part, maybe you will take the help of a nutritionist, or someone who's expert into it. You can do just physiotherapy. So these are the components which you have to identify and take the personalized. You need to take personalized treatment. That's what I would say here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bhavna. So we got a lot of inputs from all the three of you, but I have one question: is how do we identify what the body and the mind needs? How can one identify that?
You want me to answer, or is it a
Anyone?
specific question to someone?
No, no, it's not a specific question. Any one of you.
So should I answer again? Yeah. So see, identifying is very easy. You know, you have to understand what was the condition on day one, what was the condition day 3, day 5, day 10. At the same time, we are going to take the help of the reports. Okay, you must have done certain blood checks also. There would be some kind of CT scan which would be, you know, suggested by the doctor. So what kind of lung involvement, what percentage of lung involvement, or what lobe of the lung has got involved into, as Dr. Monal rightly explained about the various techniques which can be added. So identify, again I'm saying the same thing, what is required for you, and do not take it lightly. And unfortunately we do not have a data or research on this, because it's a very unknown disease for all of us yet. So we do not know the long term fibrosis or damage which can happen to the lungs, right, which can happen to the body or multiple systems. We do not know it. So current scenario, just identify, just check what kind of symptoms are still persisting after you have tagged COVID negative. You are out of your isolation, but some symptoms like chronic cough is already there. There is some kind of bulgum coming up. Weight has been constantly getting, you're losing weight. Or yeah, some of my patients are even having, high sugar levels, which is very, very important. So I'm going to talk more about that also. There is a question in the chat. We will address that. So make sure that if you have got elevated blood sugars, do not take it lightly. You must take the control of your blood sugar with your food and certain, medications, and you need to go further from there. Yeah.
Right. So, ma'am, so what I believe is whenever we have a problem, we seek a personalized program. Like if I have a pain in my tooth, I'd go to my dentist. If I had if I had issues with my hair, I'd go to another doctor. So I feel like a personalized program is very much needed to have a better recovery. And so the doctor can also work on you with that specific problem. So, for Dr. Monal, could you tell us more about the personalized program you have come up with, Dr. Bhavna and Mrs. Leena?
Yeah. This personalized program is, again, we are like it's going to be for each individual customized depending upon the condition of the patient, depending what are the symptoms of the patient, what damage has it caused, what is the severity of the patient, whether it is mildly affected, moderately affected, or how it is. Depending upon that, we are going to we have come up with a program, and accordingly we will, from three of us, we will accordingly treat the patient. Like, maybe in some case patient is just losing the muscle mass. In that case, maybe Dr. Bhavna can help her with more of the protein treatment, protein diet. In that case, I can, in case a muscle loss is there, then I can give more of a strength training program to the patient, instead of going with the breathing exercises or going with the other. And maybe even Mrs. Leena can come up with such asanas with the yoga, which will help in improving the muscle mass of the patient. Depending upon the condition of the patient, we are going to treat the patient. That is, there is nothing which is very common for each and everyone. Every patient is different. Even if you go to a hospital, go to a doctor, the same case, but it is treated differently to each and every patient. So depending upon that, we have come up with a comprehensive COVID recovery program, which consists of a 7 consultation by 3 of us, depending upon the condition of the patient. Again, our sessions will be divided. There is nothing fixed that I'll be taking 3, she will be taking 3, or she will be taking 3. It is, everything is dependent upon the patient, and it is a 1-month program. So maybe if you are interested, or you have seen your symptoms, seen your condition, you have any queries, you can just register yourself on the website provided, or you can call on the call or WhatsApp us on the number, or you may individually to any of us drop a message or email us, whatever it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monal. So yeah, we'll be taking the questions I see in the chat box now. Okay. Yeah. So first question here I see. Dr. Bhavna, is beetroot fine for diabetes?
Oh, that's a nice question. So typically, when I was talking about beetroot juice, I told you all that why beetroot juice, not the whole beetroot, because beetroot as a whole would have lot of fibers, correct? So it would get digested slowly and will not give the immediate effect when we are talking about increasing the SpO2 levels or increasing the lung capacity or giving the oxygen uh, you know in one go. When coming to the sugar levels, elevated sugar levels or diabetic patients, now beetroot is definitely okay. If it is just like any other fruit juice, it's going to add some calories for sure. At the same time, it is low GI because it is it is a high GI because it is a juice. But if you include that with some kind of other complex food, it should be okay. Typically, if you're diabetic, you have an elevated blood sugar, what you should do is that you do it as a you're going to take your juice, walk for some time, do or indulge into some kind of physical activity that will definitely help you to digest or absorb the juice well, and you will not have elevated sugars. You can take it in the morning, or you can take it with the fasting of 2 hours, and do not mix lot of stuff together. That means you're having your breakfast and then you are having your beetroot juice. That will elevate. So overall glycemic load will be more. Overall ingestion of the carbohydrates will be more when you are taking it all together. So it has to be taken separately. Uh, I'll give you one example. One glass of beetroot juice would give you say 100 calories. So that is compared to one and a half chapati. Jitna khate utna calories milta hai. So maybe if you can identify if I need more energy, or am I really struggling with my breadlessness, then rather than going for a chapati, you might want to have beetroot juice. If you are okay, you're not having any breathlessness, or your lung involvement is not that severe, then maybe you can just have some slices of beetroot in your food, and rather choosing the other food items. So be selective when you are doing your beetroot juice. Yeah. Mahek, I'm going to address the another question with this only, which is about beetroot. Somebody was asking. Uh, Beetroot eaten goes in stomach. How can NO be released, and where, and how it will help in virucidal effect? Okay, so there is no direct virucidal effect in this, Prashant. But beetroot is a very good source of nitric acids, right? So when it gets metabolized, it gets converted into nitrous oxide, and nitrous oxides are bronchodilator. That's how it is helpful. So that is the reason I was saying that we should do beetroot juice, so that the effect or the absorption of the juice is faster in the body, and you get maximum nitric oxide altogether, and we get the bronchodilator effect. So it does not have virusil in, matlab it is not going to kill the virus directly, but definitely it is going to help in bronchodilation. So you can definitely do it every day. Yes.
Thank you,
Let's have
Dr.
a next.
Bhavna. So we have another question from Miss Swati. She says that I have been on steroids for over a month. First injectables as she was in the hospital, and now oral steroids. So any tips to manage the side effects and help detox?
Oh yeah, this is a burning question, and very good question, Swati. Thanks for asking this. Yes, a lot of patients are advised to take steroids, and that is sometimes life saving. And that's the only support which currently doctors are taking, because That's how you save the lives of the patients. But unfortunately, what is happening, because of the steroids, there are a lot of side effects which can happen in the body. When you're taking it, you just take it because that is important. You need to taper it. You cannot stop it altogether. That is again very important. Now, how do we heal our body? How do we treat our body post steroid? That is very important, and that can be done. So let me talk about holistic nutrition or Ayurveda also here. So there are a lot of spices and herbs which has a good effect on immunomodulation. So when we talk about steroids, they are chemically synthesized cortisols, right? So when these steroids are given in the body, what happens that it is going to somewhere going to be immunodepressant. Okay, so long term steroid is definitely going to somewhere affect your immunity. Okay, again I'm talking about immunity here, and then that is a direct effect of a side effect of steroid. So certain herbs of Ayurveda are immunomodulatory. We call it immunomodulatory. So they can be used. I'm not going to give any specific name here because it is going to be very individualized for everyone. It should not be generalized. Don't take a generalized advice when it is your health. Okay. Secondly, there are certain things which you can practice to have the good homeostasis in your body. That is also important. At the same time, you should be having a good blood supply in your body. So these things are important post steroid. Sugar control is also very important. There are certain herbs which are called rasayanas in Ayurveda. They are rejuvenating combinations. For an example, Chavanprash, Swamvla. There is another example of Chitrak Haritaki Avleha, or there is another example of Avleha, which is called Vasa Avleha, which is again these avlehas have different combinations. Now, what are your symptoms? What kind of system was involved? Accordingly, you have to choose the avleha or rejuvenating, combinations, and then use it, and that will definitely help you. Coming to detoxifying, don't think of detoxification. You need recovery first. So rejuvenate your body. That is important. Detoxification will happen later. Okay, that can be addressed later, but I'm happy that you are thinking on this line, and that is needed. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bhavna. There is another question which says that, as you mentioned, use of steroids in diabetic patients has led to increase in the sugar levels. So how can this be subsided?
Yes, this is very important again. And I've been treating a lot of patients where sugar levels have gone up. In fact, I forgot to tell about the cholesterol levels also. Some of the patients would come up with, high cholesterol levels too. So you must, if you don't do your post-COVID report, फिर से RT-PCR कराने मत जाओ. That is okay, but at least do your sugar levels post-COVID. At least do your cholesterol levels post-COVID, so that at least we know that whether these levels have gone up or not. Once you get detected with high sugar levels, you must look into your food, because 80% is your food, 20% is your medications or herbs, right? So if your foods are not good, definitely or it is not going to control your sugars, your herbs or your supplements or your medicines will not work. So 80% is your food. That is first thing. When we talk about food, make sure that you're having more of a complex carbs. That means simple carb juices, fruit juices lena band kar dijiye. That is very important. Fruit juices I'm talking about. If you're taking your fruits, also make sure you're taking the fruits with certain complex seeds, so that your food becomes a little bit complex. Your in your major meals, which is lunch or dinner, instead of just having chapati, sabzi and buttermilk or dal chawal, and so you will think, okay, मैं तो घर का ही खाना खा रहे हैं, हम बाहर का कुछ नहीं मंगा रहे. But just make sure that how much carbohydrate content it has, how much protein content it has. Make it balanced. When you make it balanced, definitely it's going to you will be able to control your sugars. But it's not always the case. Sometimes you might have to take the support of herbs or some Ayurveda combinations also, because I work with Ayurveda combinations, or you need to go to your diabetologist or a physician and take the support of medicines. So if you have to take the support, take the support. Okay, you need to take the treatment for the blood sugar levels. So both the things are important, diet as well as medicines. Both the things are important, and you must do it.
Thank you, doctor. So another question, any of the three speakers can explain this. So are there any ways to identify the black fungal disease and to cut it off at the initial level itself?
Who wants to answer? Who's answering this? Okay, Lina, you, yeah, yes, Monal, yeah.
Yeah. The black fungal disease, which is commonly seen nowadays, is mainly seen in the patients who are young diabetic as well as who are having very low immunity. So, as Dr. Bhavna already mentioned, that you have to keep a very strong, you should have a good, strong control over your sugar, and you need to improve your immunity also. And those patients, as we told, who are on diabetes and those taking steroids are usually seen having this black fungal. So here it is, I'm not scaring anyone, but just to keep it in your mind that when you are on steroids, start with your exercise as well as a nutritious diet, which will help in improving your overall immunity and the well-being of yourself and improve the fitness level. Once your immunity is improved, this black fungal disease won't be attacking you that easily, because it is seen only in the patients who are having immunity compromised body. So the request is even if you are even if you're not admitted in the hospital also, but you are a diabetic and had suffered from COVID, you please start with the exercises, where exercises, take it as a topmost priority as you are taking medicine, and take nutrition also as on the topmost priority. Okay. Simple exercise can also be done if you're not getting time or something. Just go for a morning walk for 45 minutes, and your immunity, even after a week, if you see yourself, your immunity will be improved. You yourself will be feeling very well. Okay, so this is something very important for black fungal disease to take it into the mind, that it is seen only most commonly in the young individuals suffering from diabetes and those having immunocompromised body. Okay.
So doctor,
Thank
there's
you.
another question.
Mahek, sorry, I want to add
Oh.
something here. Yeah, well said, Dr. Monal. Well said. I
Thank
want
you,
to
thank
add
you.
one thing. Yeah. So what Dr. Monal spoke about was about preventing, right? How do we prevent it? If you have already got the mucormycosis, let me tell you one thing. Ayurveda has very good, very specific combinations for it. I've been attending a lot of case studies and everything, and it has shown results. So don't shy away. Do not have hesitation. You can go to some expert Ayurveda doctor and take treatment along with Ayurveda. Along with allopathy treatment, you can take some Ayurveda combinations also, but they are not generalized one. Don't just go and buy certain brands which are available, and or some information which is available on internet or YouTube videos. Don't take those kind of advice. You must take the advice from someone who knows in detail about it. Yeah.
So there's a question related to this question, like what is the optimum time to start the walk or light exercises after your isolation period is over?
After, even during the isolation period, if you're feeling very you are feeling that your symptoms are really recovered, like usually in cases of mild to moderate conditions, once you start with the medicines, your symptoms are really relieved within a week. Okay, 7 to 8 days. Once you start feeling little better, even during your isolation period, maybe from 9th or 10th day, you can start walking even inside your room. Do your breathing exercises. Again, breathing exercises not to be generalized. Just whatever you report, you can just have a telecommunication with any of the doctors, whoever you know. Just communicate with them and accordingly start with the breathing exercises. But aerobic training, as I mentioned even in my slides at the end, that aerobic training is very important. So even in your room itself, you can start walking, do some asanas, and this way you can start your exercises as soon as you feel little better. You feel that you are not getting tired, your saturation level, very important is to have a check on your saturation level. Once the saturation is 94 and above, you can start with your exercises.
Okay.
But even during the exercise, You have to have a constant check on your saturation level, because many a times if your lungs are still recovering, you will see that during the exercise, the saturation, though it at rest, the saturation level was 96, but once you start doing the exercise, it can go to 92. So in such cases, you have to see after how much time the saturation has start dropping. So during that period, every day you can keep training. Like suppose your saturation starts dropping after 10 minutes of walking, so till 9 minutes you can keep walking very easily. So instead of reaching to that drop level every you can start with 9 minutes of exercise, but at a regular interval. Maybe 45 minutes of walk you might do twice a day, but 9 minutes of walking you can do 5 times in a day with a gap of 2 hours each. Okay, so this is how you can start with the exercises. But again, nothing can be generalized. You have to consult somebody, or you have to see your condition, your symptoms properly, and then you can start with the exercise. But there is no hard and fast rule that after so many days you can start you can start with the exercises as soon as you feel better and your saturation level is 94 and above.
Thank you so much, doctor. There's another question which asks, are the supplements or vitamin C or Zincovite to be taken post-COVID?
Good. There are a lot of good questions coming up, and I'm happy to answer all of them. So, yes. Now, see, we are not going to go to the lab and check how much zinc is there in our body, right? You are not. It's going to be very impractical to check all the micronutrients. Maybe typically, as a doctor, what we suggest normally is in our profile also, that would be vitamin B12 or vitamin D levels, or there would be some other important micronutrients which we check. So typically, when we talk about Zincovit, which is a multivitamin, if you have been taking it since long, maybe 2-3 months, or you took some doses last year also when it had started, again you took while taking the treatment of COVID, then don't do overdose, right? So don't continue for a longer period. Maximum, I would say, for a month. Stop it, give a break. In between, twice in a week, you can again do it. If you are very if you or your patient is very fussy about the nutrition or not getting time, then these supplements are going to be kind of a nutritional convenience, so it's a convenient way of taking some nutrition, but they are not the option, they are not the best options. Balanced food is the best option. Vitamin C, again, you get it, you eat one avla every day, have some kind of oranges and guava, or you can have nimu pani, and you'll get the vitamin C what you require for a daily routine, right? So synthetic ascorbic acid like vitamin C in tablet form would be the next option. Rather you go for our natural options first. Yeah.
Thank you so much, doctor. Next question is for Mrs. Lena. For relaxing, which is more effective, Shavasana, Makrasana, or Yoga Nidra?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the question. And who has asked this question? Yeah, Mehak, who has asked?
Just a second. Yeah,
Prashant.
so Mr. Prashant.
I'm very happy that somebody is doing yoga.
Dr. Prashant, Dr. Prashant. Thank you, Dr. Prashant, for being here. Thank you so much, sir, for showing the interest. Thank you.
I'm really happy that like somebody is doing yoga. Okay, so let me explain, sir, that Makrasana, Shavasana falls under the category of asana, where Yoga Nidra is not an asana, technically. Okay. So in yoga, when you are doing some posture, stay on your back, okay, lying down on your back. So say you have done whatever 4-5 postures, and then you want to relax physically, Shavasana is ideal. Okay. You don't need to switch to Makrasana because that will cause a lot of movement. Okay. Suppose you are doing asanas on your stomach, lying down on your stomach. So that time after doing 4-5 asanas, which are on your stomach, after that you can relax in Makrasana. Okay. Basically, both are relaxative asanas when it comes to your physical state. When you're physically tired after doing asanas, either you do Shavasana or Makrasana, whichever, your prone position or your supine position. Okay. Now let me explain what is Yog Nidra. Yog Nidra is relatively a longer procedure. It takes you more towards your mental benefits. It has more of mental benefit, where Shavasana and Makrasana is physically relaxing your body, okay, and observing your breath. Where Yog Nidra will take you little more inside, little more on a spiritual level, and more mentally. Okay, so the call is yours. So the day you are physically tired, you want something to just relax you physically, or you just want something physically, mentally, spiritually, and just relax and just forget about this world, say half an hour, 45 minutes, and just you want to just go into the trance mode. So yeah, Yoga with Nidra is something like that. It's a beautiful practice. So you must. I think I've made the thing very
Mrs.
clear.
Meena, I do
Yeah.
yoga nidra every day. Every day.
Good.
So
Very nice.
afternoon, I take out my 20 minutes from my patients and then I just be off. As you said, you have to look within. So that's
Yeah,
what I
it's
do.
like net complete rejuvenating, like it's like out of this world
Yes,
experience.
yes. Thank
I
you.
think I'm clear, Dr. Prashant.
Thank you, Mrs. Leena. So, Dr. Monal, there's a question for you which asks, is steam helpful and how much time can we take steam for post-COVID recovery?
Post-COVID rehabilitation, steam inhalation will be helpful because in case if you have suffered from the sore throat, there would be irritation, if there would be secretions in your lung, dry cough, whatever kind of a cough, productive or dry cough, in any of the cases, your throat gets irritated and you breathe in through your nose. So to clear your upper airways and to maintain the oxygenation in your lower airways and to prevent from anything from entering your lower airways, steam inhalation will be really helpful. So daily you can have you can at a time you can have your steam inhalation for 10 to 12 minutes, maximum to 15 minutes, and in a day you can have for thrice, like 15 minutes 3 times in a day you can have steam inhalation. As well as you are getting recovered, decrease the frequency from 3 to 2 and just once, and then you can stop the steam inhalation.
Thank you, Dr. Monal. So, there's another question which asks, when is the appropriate time after discharge to do comprehensive tests like sugar, lipids, liver profile, kidney profile, and vitamins?
Yes, yeah, okay. So that's a good question. And I'm going to address another question also here about Suvarna asking us that should we do, why you are saying no to do RT-PCR and going for other tests. So I'm going to address both the answers here, questions here. So there is no specific guidelines as such. Not have a lot of data or research still, so we don't know what kind of long-term symptoms or affecting the multi-discipline, multi systems are going to get affected. So this is my suggestion that we should be doing certain basic tests, okay, just to make sure that they are under in a normal range. So typically after you get discharged or after 14 days of your COVID treatment, you can do within a week. Anywhere when you find those readings not in a within normal limit, you might want to repeat it after some days once you start treatment. So there is no specific time frame. Coming to the Suvarna's question, that let's not discourage about RT-PCR. So what I'm saying is here that of course RT-PCR is important just to make sure that okay, we are out of the COVID infection. But when you want to do plasma donation, it is more about antibodies formation in your body, right? That is important. So when you go for a plasma donation, your antibodies report would be asked. Okay, that is more important. So maybe that would be your doctor's call, that what kind of reports he or she would ask, and that should be done.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. So, are there any signs or symptoms for mucormycosis? Is the next question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to answer this question. So, see, it's a fungal infection. First of all, we have to think, we have to keep this in our mind. So, when we talk about symptoms of mucormycosis, there are different symptoms. It depends on where in the body the fungus is growing. So, now here typically, because lungs are involved or there is a upper respiratory tract which is involved, it's more of a, we call it rhino cerebral, where sinus and brain is affected. So it is more of a rhinocerebral mucormycosis, which would be like one-sided facial swelling will happen, or there will be headache, constant headache will happen, or there will be congestion in the nasal sinuses, that would be there, or there would be some black lesions or some kind of a black spots on the nasal bridge or upper inside of the mouth. That will quickly, that will quickly grow, or there would be constant fever, or if lungs are involved, then there would be cough or fever, or there would be chest pain. So
Yeah.
these are the common symptoms what I'm talking about. They are not very different. So unless we do the test, we might not be able to catch the infection. Now what happens, it is completely treating doctor's call that what kind of test should be done and when it should be done. Okay. Secondly, as Dr. Monal rightly said, people who have been taking the oxygen or had got hospitalized or were in ICU, or had higher levels of blood sugar, they are prone to it. So we don't have to get panicked that, oh, I got COVID, now I'm going to get mucormycosis. Not everyone is going to get that. But at the same time, you have to be very vigilant about your symptoms. You have to be very cautious about your symptoms, and you should always take the consultation of a treating doctor and discuss further on this.
Okay. So I see one last question here. It's for Mrs. Leena. So the question is Yog Nidra with self suggestion for relaxing or taped cassette. It's from Dr. Prashant.
I think you need to unmute Leena. Mahek,
Oh.
unmute Leena,
Oh,
please.
so sorry.
When it compares to self, when you say self, when you do self yoga nidra, there is a lot of effort. You need to put in a lot of effort. Basically, we are here just to relax. We are doing yoga nidra just to relax. So whenever when it is guided, when it is led, it always have better advantages. And more than the cassette, if you're doing it from your guru, like whoever guru or whoever is there, so it has much more effect, because you get that aura, you get that vibration, you get that positivity. Yeah. So always self say it's always better. You get in touch all these YouTube videos or whatever.
Okay. Thank you so much. We were overwhelmed by the questions, and thank you for keeping this session very interactive. Thank you to all the speakers for giving their inputs. Okay. And so I'll be leaving the registration link for the personalized program, which Dr. Monal talked about. And I will also leave the contact information of all our three speakers for the day. So please feel free to contact them if you have any more doubts or queries. And so as all the good things eventually come to an end, our webinar for today also has come to an end. And I would like to take a moment and thank all our speakers for the day. Thank you all for all your efforts. We are truly enlightened with your knowledge and presence here. Our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Vishwas sir for attending the webinar. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you present here. You have been an incredible audience. Thank you for keeping it very interactive, and we were really overwhelmed with the response. Thank you so much.
I would request Leena to chant the shlok and conclude the session, please.
Mehak, can you share the video?
Just a second, ma'am.
Sure. Everyone close your eyes.
संस्कार.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for
Thanks for everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mahek. Thank you so much. Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure having
Thank you,
you. Three.
Suvarna. Thank you.